Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today I have some books to share with you, updates, and all the things. So y'all, I took notes because when I used to do these update videos, I feel like I would just talk and ramble on and go to Africa and back. So I do have notes and I'm gonna open them up so we can talk about yeah, all the things going on in our homeschool, what it's looking like. We did get to take a trip to the museum. Before we go into homeschool stuff, I just want to give like a quick mom life update, all the things. This season of going from just having middle school kids and elementary into middle and high school kids has been a little rough. And can you get through it? Yes, of course you can. It's just that you're dealing with different things and teen emotions and I want to give you the toot and I want to do things my way. And I feel like sometimes when teens start out, they don't realize that when they avoid doing the work that it kind of sets them back. But all in all, we are pushing forward and going where we need to go. Do I need to put my foot down a little bit more? I feel like I do. I feel like I still sometimes let them kind of like, oh, well, don't worry about it. And so I'm still working on that because I feel like in a certain way, I still want to be mommy and I still want to not be the hard taskmaster or the discipliner, you know. Yeah. So even though I feel like I am the discipliner a lot, and that's only because my husband travels, and so yeah. I went back to therapy because of the loss of my daughter in 2019, and therapy has been going really well. This is the first time that I have been in therapy that I feel like it was literally God ordained. Like everything, we are talking about it all, digging into it all, and she's very good at her job. So yeah. Um, and even in walking through that mom stuff, I have been learning to just quote scriptures in the moment of feeling like this day is defeating me. And even with anxiety, I have a lot of it from my whole birth experience. It was awful. I did want to put out a video because October was awareness for childbirth loss. I did not. I do want to do it. Don't know if I'm going to wait all the way to next October, but yeah. So that's how I'm doing. And you know, moms, we just have a lot going on with the hormones and all of that. And we just try to make it through every day, let alone if you have like something that you have to live with or deal with all the time. And it's not easy. So, you know, your body wants to do this one day and the next day it's great. I did make some changes for my 6th grader. He is starting spelling UC. I wish I would have did it with my other ones because when they were in middle school, I kind of felt like they could have did more work with their spelling, and I did not do it. And this time, I'm not going to make that mistake. And when we started the school year, it was not my plan to do this spelling. The other change was to my 10th grader. Currently researching SAT, ACT. From what I've heard, it is hard for homeschoolers to find somewhere to test for the PSAT, and I'm still looking for that. I changed this French from Rosetta Stone to Breaking the Barrier. It's still online, but it has an accompanying workbook with quizzes and tests and all those things. And I will update you as it goes along as far as like how those are working and fitting into our homeschool day. Which, all right, let's get straight into the updates. Those are my changes. How is everything going? Math, Denison. My 9th grader is on, I think they're both on chapter 4 and 5. They are doing good. They don't complain. They're not like I don't get it. I love that I see them actually physically working out the problems versus them just having online and not really having something to really write out the problems, especially when you get into those older grades. Yeah, so that I'm appreciating that about Denison. CTC math is good, but my biggest reason why I did not continue CTC into high school was that it did not have the writing down factor. And what I mean by that is that there's no accompanying book for CTC math. And just because my kids were very good at doing mental math, if they didn't have to write it down, they were not going to write it down. So, sorry, my boys are playing their games. And so, Denison having the book and having the video combination it's working so good. And yeah, I wouldn't go back from that. And so, even with CTC math, sometimes they are still doing problems that are like not explained, not all the time, but it just happens every so often. And it's like, oh, they didn't really explain how to do this problem. And even though I still try to sit with them through most of the math for my younger one, just to make sure that I know he's watching the videos, because my kids will also skip the videos and do the work and think that, oh, but I know what I'm doing. All right, so that's math. When it comes to literature, my 6th grader is, my goal for his year was to really just get him into more chapter books. He's still trying to do more graphics. And so for me, I'm doing more like picture books, graphic novels, because he really takes his time with chapter books unless they're interesting. It's hard to find that thing that really sparks. And so we use branches to go into those, like the Dragon series, and then there's another series, and he loved those Dragon Masters. He loved those branch books, but we're still working on getting to like bigger, longer chapter books for him. So with us reading together, we are reading The Wild Robot, and I want to finish that. Our goal for this month is to read 3 books. I want to read The Friendship by Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, Mildred Teller, Pilgrim's Progress, and there's another book that I want to read this month. So minimizing the TV time in the evenings and increasing our reading time together is what I'm looking forward to do in November. This is the month where we take a week off. I know you're probably like, why are you taking a week off and it's about to be Christmas? We need it. We've been going since August 12th. And even though Christmas is around the corner and we will have a break, we need it. So we won't be taking off tons of days for Thanksgiving. And then when Christmas comes around, I still don't know what we're going to do as far as our Christmas calendar schedule. American history. Wait, let me rewind. Because world literature for my 9th grader, he is reading Whatever Comes with Knotgrass, and I guess these two can tie into each other, world lit and world history. For my 9th grader through Knotgrass, he is doing it. He is going through it. Knotgrass is a heavy hitter. For those that want to know, you do have a lesson every day to do. It is 5 days of work. If you are doing the history and literature, you have an accompanying book to read along with that. Also, they have a book called In Their Words that has other short stories in it that you read along to cover your literature credit. Then there are quizzes and tests, of course, but he is doing that through the homeschool group. So he just does the quizzes at home. And then if you are going to do the Bible thing, which I feel like he has to read some of the Bible stuff, and I'm still trying to figure out whether I'm going to give him credit for Bible, because a lot of it is like they want you to memorize. And so, but they do Bible in the morning. So he's reading some of the Bible not necessarily doing memory, but they also have a separate Bible study that they're doing, the foundations of faith, with master books. They do that in the morning. So I'm probably still going to give him a Bible credit, because the reality is, as long as he's like doing all the work and things like that, the only thing is that we didn't have to buy the book, so I have no physical samples of work that he's doing. All right, so that is my 9th grader's World Lit and World History. Now for my 10th graders, he's doing American History 2 and American Lit. Now, for my 10th grader, sometimes he gives me a hard time to read. I am learning, as I say, and I like more and more. A lot of people are like, oh, well, maybe it's ADHD, and maybe it's this, and maybe it's that. But I have looked at the symptoms, and I feel like even if he has, or any of my kids have it, I feel like it's mild. So I feel like it's something that's not hindering you or holding you back, and really just trying to hone in on, like, sleep is important, because if you don't know already, that he does go to culinary through a VOTEC in the morning. So sometimes he is tired, and just teaching the lesson of like bedtime is very important. And when you have to get up at 5:30, that bedtime needs to be 9 o'clock, so learning, we're moving along. And so his American History is Khan Academy, so he's doing the other half of Khan Academy, and then I add in reading to go along with that, and then I add in IEW for both of them. And so whatever they are working on, like if they were doing the American Revolution or the Civil War, whatever thing was happening with IEW, which I only have to do one more unit, and it's mostly essays, so it's kind of how I wanted it, because the rest of the year they're just going to be writing essays. I feel like it's a good practice. So whatever that essay is requiring, they will just pull out the American Revolution, or like I said, the Civil War, which my 10th grader is currently doing. I did take this a little bit slow with the American History, because I wanted to expand it, and also like adding in the African American history during that time period as well. And sometimes that takes time. We are on track to finish it this year though, so it will get done, which is a good thing, because you can't have any more years of American history. I mean, you could, but yeah. So that's how I'm using IEW. Now, for my 9th grader with his world history, he is currently on pause from IEW because he's doing a research paper. I feel like I'm talking very fast in this video, and I feel like you guys are falling asleep. Wake up. I met a mom that her son wanted to go back to high school, but they didn't take a lot of his credits, and I don't know whether it's because she didn't have, the papers or whatever to show them, but they didn't take a lot of his credits. And so I have made the decision to throw out a lot of their middle school stuff and start keeping their stuff from high school. And honestly, this is a backup, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know if your kids have to just go back to school because you can't do it anymore. Like, we never know. So for me, after hearing that story, I'm like, all right, that was cute. Middle school was cute. Now it's time to focus on your high school stuff and really start organizing and keeping that stuff. So if I ever do have to present it to somebody, that it is all there. Even if I have 10,000 binders, it's like my child did the work. And even with culinary schools and not really taking homeschool, wanting to take homeschool diplomas, they want you to get a GED, like if you were going in the military. And I'm like, after my child did all that work, you want him to do what? And so, yeah, no, I'm not happy with that. So, cleaning out to restart. Next, science. Science for my 6th grader. He does his memory. And I really try to get him to remember it without the song, because I feel like if you don't sing it, if you couldn't sing it, do you really know it type thing? So even though he learns that, I still let him read about all his topics in science on the side. And we do keep a little notebook where, believe it or not, I have pages that I stick in there with handwriting, because I am trying to really work with him to really give his mama a break with his handwriting. Oh my goodness. and really starting to make his handwriting more neat. I wish I would have paid attention to that when we first started homeschooling, when he was in the 3rd grade. So I wouldn't have to deal with that now, but it is what it is. My older two are using Journey Academy for biology, and I like it. I feel like it's a solid curriculum. The reading in the textbook is optional. What I thought about doing is doing like a read behind type thing where we are reading some of the book together as a review, just so I know that even though they're taking quizzes and they have like 4 tests for the whole thing, like because it's online, I feel like us having our own discussion about it will kind of like make me feel like, oh, okay, you are getting this type thing. We just started lab and lab reports. I feel like it's so good. They have everything explained. It's there. You don't have to be like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Blah, blah, blah. I definitely do feel like it's heavy enough compared to apologia, biology. I feel like it's a little, it's hard. It's more, I feel like it's heavier than not grass. Like, it was a lot to read, even for me, trying to like, oh, I'm going to read through this to pick out stuff for, you know. And so, honestly, I used Apologia General Science, and even though I didn't hate it, I didn't love it, and honestly, I probably shouldn't have went back to biology. So, yeah. And the good thing was about this is that I had a lot of the lab materials, so I didn't have to spend a lot on lab stuff. Yeah. Our not consumed Bible study is not going. And I have realized that when we sat down and we were doing it together, that none of our books are the same. So it is really meant for them to do it and then come together and discuss. So, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how that's working and how that's going. Yeah, how that's going to be incorporated. I do plan to put it on their agendas. I don't know how many days of it I'm going to do. Sorry, I keep moving around. But yeah, I want to incorporate it back in. I did not realize how much Votech just takes away from the day with, you know, him being tired. He gets home and sleeps, and it's so hard for us to come together as a family. Grammar we are doing together at the moment, but hence moving into our loop schedule and reading independently, those things are struggling right now because, yeah, it's the time like, oh, when are you going to read independently? And I mean like reading outside of the stuff that you're reading for every day. I want them to still be able to read independent stuff that they like to read. And the loop schedules, I'm really rethinking them and thinking that, you know what, whenever we get to American government, we're going to study presidents, and then the other things we will get to. Like, we are doing note-taking intertwined into history too. So when I do grammar, I go over one form of note-taking in the note-taking book, and then basically I give them like 1 or 2 weeks to whatever they're listening to, a video or they're reading in the book. That's the style of notes that I want to see in their notebook, and that's the way I'm kind of incorporating them learning how to take notes. Yeah, so that is basically it. Let me pop this up here. I did order some books for myself to read. I do have books back here. That's my not consumed Bible study thing, and I'm reading Priscilla Shire, I Surrender All, and my Bibles, and I don't know what else is up there. Oh, that's Praying Scripture Over Your Children. So those are not really books that I'm reading, and then my books that I have read are right here. These are pending reads. It's like I get in the mood to read something and I want to read it, but then when I start reading it, I'm like, this is not the time. So I go through phases like that. When I get a good one, I breeze through it. I did buy the book called Teach, and I did read to it up to the last chapter, and I lost the book. So here's what I bought, because this video is already getting long. So Raising Screen Smart Kids. I've always wanted to read this. So, my kids are on the phones, they are on TV, they're on video games. TV, not so much, because after incorporating my new rule of like, you don't watch TV if your work doesn't get done for the day, has been reducing a lot of that time. But they do successfully get it done by Friday so they can play games. The only exception to the fact that I do make is that if you haven't completed 4 masks of the week, I do allow them to do that to make it up on Saturday. Especially if we're going to be home, there's no reason that they can't do it. The next one I got is project-based teaching. This is something that I'm really going to dig into because I want to incorporate more projects. Especially because my kids like them, and so hopefully it's the type of book that's going to send me in the right direction and not in the opposite direction. I got this one called Becoming Myself. The cover is so messed up, but embracing God's dream for you. So I bought this. I've always wanted to read this, and I'm like hoping, which is why I bought it from Thrift Books, y'all, because if I don't like the first chapter, I'm gonna send it back to Thrift Books. Like resell, sell it back. Here, you can have it back. Just give me, I gave books back to Thrift Books. I don't know if you guys know Thrift Books has that buyback now. And so I sent it back, and I made books back and I made like $8. But nowadays I feel like as a homeschool mom, once you buy a book, don't expect to get retail value for it unless it's like really popular, because nobody's gonna buy it. The next one is Parenting 14 Gospel Principles that can rapidly change your family. And so that's that. And then, What Do You Stand For? A Kid's Guide to Building Character. This is something I want to say we're going to do this as a read aloud. We're not going to, and I got this because I was like, worst case scenario is if not consumed does not work out. Even though, like I said, I'm taking more time for us to read as a family in the evening. I thought that I wouldn't be able to really read in the evening. I thought that I would be so tired and blah, blah, blah. But it's not bad. Yeah. And so we are going to read through this together. And after I read the introduction. So, yeah. I hope this... and we've done character already, but this is something where I feel like this has needed to be on repeat, okay? Anybody else feel that? On repeat. Yeah, my sourdough timer is going off. I hope you can't hear that, because I'm going to finish this video before I get out. I thought I was done, but the last thing I did not show you was the weekly schedule. So this, I go on Mac Pages, and I just printed out the 2 boxes. Set up the table with 2 boxes, and I put the subject that they're doing and what they have to do for the week. There is a lot of room. But I do it for Monday. It depends on the kids. So basically right now, because of our groups, I have kind of minimized what it looks like for each child. So we are out 2 days of the week, and so sometimes math doesn't fall on a certain day for a certain kid, and the other kid might have to do math on that day. It depends on the day. I've kind of worked it out, so I feel like altogether all the kids are doing like a 4-day at home schedule, and so the other day they just come home and that's it. And that's what the schedule looks like. And basically for me, I just critique it and work it through until it is the way I want. What I recently took off of here was reading, guitar, and working out. If you saw in my last video, I got a board in the room. So now on that board is going to tell them each week. We kind of rotate it to where they're trying to do, it's either 50 or 100 push-ups by the end of the school year. Like all at once. So I'm starting at 5. Y'all don't laugh at me. Don't be laughing at me. And they're starting at 10 or 15. And so each week they kind of go up on how many push-ups they need to do every day. And that for me, on top of the health for the older two, and besides walking the dog, and they walk the neighbor's dog, and yeah, so they get in physical ed just by a regular life day and putting in the things. Sometimes they work out with the kid downstairs, so I pay attention to all of that. And so yeah, we're getting it done, maybe not in the way, and using the form. So when we watch the form, we use the movements from the form, and kind of do those and add on. So they're still doing the push-ups, but like adding on to that. But that is what that looks like. And I took it off. At first I left it on there, but I took it off because I feel like every day is not the same, and some days you can't just get to it. And for me, having to check that and say, oh, you can't watch TV now, or you ain't watching TV today, it makes it easier when I limit it to the stuff I actually need to look at. And then the board, because they already know, and those things are something that they can all do together, like quiet reading time, I don't have to really monitor that because we're all doing it. And so I've been trying to, like, when they read, I read, because it doesn't always work, because sometimes it's like cooking dinner or cleaning up after dinner. So yeah, try to fit it in where you can get it, right? That is all that I have for you today. I hope I did not talk your head off. Lord, this video says 30 minutes. It's gonna be long, but I hope you watched this far, and if you did, thank you. For those of you out there that are watching my videos, I appreciate it, because honestly, yeah, as much time and editing and all that I put into this channel, I would love to get to the point where it helps just a little. Thank you for all of my subscribers that are watching. I feel like in the beginning of this journey as a homeschool mom and sharing on YouTube, I got really discouraged, because I feel like as an African American mom, a lot of people, number one, you're not going to click on my video because I'm African American. But number two, you have a perception of like, oh, well, what are you going to know? And so, or just the fact that some people, not some people, let me not say some people, or just the fact that sometimes you don't even realize that you are, your upbringing has trained you to not support. And I feel like that comes from people of any color. I don't feel like it's just a black-white thing, but I can say I do feel it most from my counterparts. But if you watch this far and you're watching this, then hey, this is a conversation we're having. If you are, you know, an African-American homeschool mom and you feel like people don't support because, yeah, drop your comments. And I feel like it's not just on YouTube, guys. I feel like it's on Instagram. As much as I have like pounded down and like, oh, I'm doing good, I feel like I'm, you know, giving valuable information, and like I don't really sell anything on Instagram, so like my stuff is not pushing, you know, things saying I would like to. I am an Amazon affiliate. I do that, but it's like it's not a big brand, but I feel like I am bringing value. And so this is something that I'm walking through with my therapist right now. It's been a life thing. Like I feel like I am never picked and I'm always rejected, and like it's weird, but I am growing past that, and knowing that whoever the Lord has meant for me to bless, he will send them to this channel. And if you are not my ministry, yeah, you're not my ministry, so you don't have to be here anyway, right? So yeah. And even in starting this channel, and even with, you know, applying to this job that I'm working currently, it's definitely about me growing and learning how to become more of a leader, and really finding that confidence to really feel like I, through Jesus and what he has for me to do, has value for whoever's ears hear it. So that's that, guys. That was like another 5-minute ramble. That wasn't even a part of this video. All right, y'all. Bye.